Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I want to show off some super cool custom cards. These are Marvel Pokemon cards. You may be wondering what I mean. These are all tag teams, so it's one Marvel character and one Pokemon character, or Pokemon. And I did not make these cards, so these were made by, as far as I know, Rush for Tacos and Zaba TV. It is very hard to find the original source, though. You can look around if you just search like Marvel Pokemon cards; they'll show up. But yeah, let's just hop straight into them. So for a bit of background, these were really, in my opinion, some of the coolest custom Pokemon cards I've ever seen. Obviously, they don't like. I've heard many say that like custom cards don't really matter, and they don't. But these are like super awesome looking. Yeah, and they have some kind of weird effects, but kind of cool ones as well. I think there's like 7 here. And they really like inspired me like in Pokemon in general. Like they're really cool. But also like some of the effects. So some of the wording's not quite right. I'll warn you of that as well. I'm not really gonna be talking about that too much, unless it becomes actively unclear what it means. But I don't know if these cards were made by Pokemon players. But let's just hop straight into it with Iron Man and Scizor. And also, they are a bit hard to read because of like how tag teams are, but I don't think they're that bad. First of all, we see Iron Man and Scizor GX. They're all tag team GXs, so they're basic Pokemon. They give up 3 prizes when KO'd. They do interact with a tag team mechanic, although that doesn't really matter too much. And so we see this is really cool. Obviously, I like the pairing of these two. It's pretty logical. Scizor and Iron Man look relatively similar, and make a natural metal or steel type combo. First of all, and I'm going to be talking about these in relative balance to the actual tag teams, which is kind of how you'd logically compare them. So first of all, we see that it has an ability called Iron Avenger here that says that if a Pokemon of yours was knocked out last turn, this Pokemon's attacks do 80 more damage. This is before weakness and resistance. So that's pretty simple. It's pretty like good, honestly. That's a very good ability. But if you're just a tag team deck, it's not super good. So it encourages you to incorporate it in a mixture of like tag team and non tag team based decks. And then we see its first attack here. It's a regular attack, very simple here. A repulsor slash doing 150 damage for 2 metal. These might all have an ability, an attack, and a GX attack. I don't remember, but I know that's pretty common across most of them, anyways. So repulsor slash, obviously, it's going to be hitting 230 if one of your Pokemon was KO'd last turn. And that's quite good, honestly. That's very good. But then only 150 isn't that good. So I kind of like this. I think its ability is very important to it. Of course, it can be shut off, so you need to be careful of that, but you can kind of control that. So this card's like perfectly fine in terms of that aspect. I don't think it's overpowered, underpowered, although its typing's a bit weird here. Its weakness to fighting is kind of strange. Of course, generally, metal-type Pokemon in the TCG are weak to fire. They could be resistant to Psychic or Grass as well. At this time, I believe it was Psychic. Also, its retreat cost of only 1 is pretty low. I would like to see it a bit higher, but its HP is also relatively low with 250. Actually, very low with 250. So I think it would make more sense if it was at 260. Retreat cost of 2, maybe 2 I think would be fair. Of course, weakness I do to fire. I don't know why the weakness to fighting is here specifically. Of course, it's based off of Iron Man, so I don't know. I'm not like hyper familiar with like a Marvel lore, but I can't think of a specific reason off the top of my head why that would be. But it is what it is, right? And then its attack here, Bleeding Edge, GX attack. So first of all, 200 for 3 metal. This is like perfectly fine. This is completely balanced. We've seen this so many times. We've seen this on Pikarom, Mewtwo Mew, Reshizard. So very, very, very fair. If this Pokemon has at least 2 extra metal energy attached, so 5 metal energy, and then you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn, that's fine. It can be gusted around, but I think it's fine. This is a very generic metal type like effect. It's defensive, which is a very like metal type trope, which I like. I think this is fine. Nothing super interesting, but I certainly think this card's fine and kind of cool. The other ones get pretty crazy, so I think this one's pretty tame, and I like it. Nothing crazy here. Of course, the art looks absolutely insane, though. The art on all these is sick, but this very well may be the best art there is. But not too much to say about it. As I said, like, you can guess around it. It's pretty good. We've seen this before on Solgaleo and Lunala tag team, and I want to say we've seen it on Jirachi GX. We've seen it on a few Pokemon, but it's pretty solid. But of course, 5 Metal Energy is a lot as well. So you could pair this with Metal Saucer. Depends where on the timeline you're looking at this with. But I think this card's perfectly fine. I like it. And honestly, I think we only saw one metal tag team. We might have seen 2, but this one's fine. I like it. It's really cool. Next up, we have Black Panther and Umbreon. Now this pairing is fine. It kind of makes sense. Umbreon's a very popular Pokemon. And Black Panther is like the dark type. I guess makes sense. He literally has the word black in his name. But I think it's fine. This pairing is like not the best pairing in my opinion, but I can't think of a better Pokemon off the top of my head to pair with Black Panther. Yeah, I think Umbreon's cool though, and Black Panther's cool. They kind of make sense. They look kind of similar with like the very like dark aesthetic. And then you see like they have a glow around them. Black Panther with purple, Umbreon with like this gold, which is kind of cool. And of course the art looks very good here. I'd say I don't like this quite as much as the Iron Man one, but it's still very good. And now we get to the effects. So first of all, 230 HP is like really low. Like really low. I don't really get this. There was an Umbreon and Darkrai tag team, which had like 270 maybe. I don't know, but it definitely had more than this. We've never seen anything lower than 240. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. Black Panther's also certainly like a strong character. Is Black Panther like the most durable character in the MCU? No, but like I think it should definitely be like 270 at least. So that's a bit low. And then also its weakness to fighting, resistance to psychic is weird. I don't really know what's going on there. Like, oh wait, no, sorry, that's normal. I was very confused for a second. But yeah, that's normal. Back in the Sun and Moon era, I was thinking, I don't know why I found that so weird. But it makes sense. Although it should probably be weak to grass, as it's like oh no, they changed it. I keep forgetting how they like, because they changed the weaknesses, but this is fine certainly. Because it's weak to grass and Sword and Shield, but this is a Sun and Moon era card, I suppose, which also fits with like the Galaxy theme of the MCU during this phase, which is really cool. So the weakness is fine, and resistance. But then its ability Jungle Law. Each time this Pokemon attacks, you may flip 2 coins. If both are heads, discard all energy attached to the defending Pokemon. I don't know. That's like kind of good, but it's inconsistent. It's very strange. I don't think it would work with like cards like Glimmer Tangle or anything that lets you reflip on attacks, but it's kind of unique. I don't know. I don't love it. It's kind of swingy, but I don't hate it either. It's not like an objectively bad like ability. It certainly has power. Kind of cool. It's like your Panther Strike 100 for 2 dark. That's like really bad. I mean, it's not like the worst thing in the world, but it's not great. I think we need to see this being better. It's also very generic, right? I'd argue the attacks like are very concise. Some of them are not as concise, definitely, but this one, to possibly let more room for the art, which is fine, as I said. The art's really cool still, but the Panther Strike very generic. Also doesn't really tie in with Umbreon, but that's fine. And then Vibranium, I guess they're built around the tag teams. What are the attacks on the Iron Man one? I'd say Bleeding Edge is a bit closer to Scizor. But anyways, then Vibranium Blast GX. So for 2 dark, this does 70 plus. So it should say 70 plus on the damage output. It's a small issue, but 70 damage, but plus the damage that this Pokemon was dealt during your opponent's last turn. So we've seen this effect on Cinderace VMAX, I believe. So it does like equal to the amount of damage you did last turn, which is really cool. Of course, based around okay. So if you haven't seen, I haven't actually seen the newer Black Panther movie, but during the original one, you could like Black Panther could power up his suit with attacks and like return it with an attack, so that makes sense. I really like that. And that could be very powerful, but of course its low HP of 230 makes it not like as good. It's okay. It's not a bad attack. I like the idea of it. It's a really cool idea, honestly, but its HP definitely needs to be higher. If there's a Pokemon that has at least 6 energy attached to it, I guess this is 6 in total. I think this is the only one that doesn't say additional energy, which is how they should probably all be stated. But so 6 energy in total. Of course, 2 of which must be dark. Deal this damage to a bench Pokemon as well. So maybe, I don't know if it's also 6, like if it's 8 energy in total or 6 energy in total, but that's pretty nice. It's kind of like Pikachu and Zekrom's attack. I like the idea of like a active and bench damage attacker. It's a nice effect. I think it's very solid. I don't think it's like super interesting, but it's kind of cool. And I like this card as well. I like all the cards, but this one's fun. Now we have Thor and Raichu. So this one's a really sick combo. Obviously, like 2 lightning characters. Thor, like an obvious lightning. If it was Thor as a Pokemon, obviously a lightning type Pokemon here. And then things get pretty chaotic. Honestly, this might be the craziest one we'll see. But yeah, its ability here, Odin's Blessing, says you may transfer any lightning energy between your Pokemon as you choose. This should definitely be worded differently. This is like a standardized way of wording it, I think. But the idea here, that's a very powerful ability, right? This is just insane, especially within context. Lightning is a very solid type with a lot of very useful tools, notably Zeraora GX. So Zeraora GX plus Thor and Raichu allows you, plus anything like Rainbow Energy, Aurora Energy, Prism Energy. It's absolutely insane, giving all your Pokemon free retreat, giving like so much versatility. This ability is just insane. Also, 260 HP is like very, that's very fair. Same HP as Raichu and Alolan Raichu. Although I might like to see it have a little more, but it's fine. Certainly balanced enough. Almost weakness here to Psychic and resistance to fighting is really abnormal. I have no idea why that's the case. Fighting, it should be fighting weak, probably. That's like almost always what lightning types is. I've never seen weak to Psychic, and I don't know why it would be that way, because like I don't know, like Psychic, I don't know if Psychic's supposed to be a specific reference to a certain MCU character, but I feel like it's a little random. But then it's attack Thunder Slam. This attack does 30 for 2 lightning, but 30 more for each lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. Of course, you can put all of it on. If you don't die, you can move it off, which is nice. This attack's perfectly fine. It's a bit underwhelming compared to stuff like Greninja and Zoroark, which is a dark-based one, which does it for energy attached to all your Pokemon, but paired with Odin's Blessing. I think this is very fair. This attack's a bit underwhelming, but with its really overpowered ability, I think it's fine. And now we get to the craziness, and it begins with the attack of Ragnarok GX. For 1 lightning energy, but of course you can do more. So you discard all lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. Deal 50 damage to any opponent's Pokemon for each energy discard in this way. I believe it only does it to 1 Pokemon. Well, let's say you discard 6 energy, or let's say 5 energy. You do a let's see. So I believe, yeah. So you can if you just discard 1 energy, you do a 50 snipe. It's not in addition to the attack cost. So if you discard 5 energy, you're doing a 250 snipe. That's pretty impressive. That's still 5 energy. I think this attack's fair, completely fair. Until we read the other effect, which is pretty crazy. If you discard more than 6 energy, restart the game with only this Pokemon in play and half the prize cards each rounded down. And of course, you can't use more than 1 GX attack in a game. So I guess this is half the prize cards each remaining. It's very strange. Like, this is just absurd. And this is like really confusing. There's actually implemented. This would need like pages and pages of rulings. So I'm not getting into the logistics too much, but the idea is like kind of fun. But I don't know. It's kind of like Naganadel and Naganadel GX, which resets the prize cards, except this is like way more. Like, it restarts the whole game. It's very confusing. Like, I don't really know what's going on. I think this is like, you can get crazy with custom cards, but honestly, this is a little too far. This is pretty outrageous. I don't know. It's a cool idea, but it's kind of strange. I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts are on this one, though. It's like, This is a completely whack ability. It's kind of fun, but I don't know. Let's just move on to the next one before I lose my mind. And now we have Spider-Man and Ariados. This is a really cool combination. We see here is grass type, which I guess makes sense. Of course, Ariados is grass type and dark type, or poison. But so that means that like it comes here as grass. It's bug type and poison type, I should say. But Spider-Man is like a bug, so it's like a grass. It makes sense, I guess. Oh, there's a definite like issue on this card. If you look at the weakness, it's weak to fire, completely normal. It just is -20. I think they forgot to take it out. So that could be the reason why. Like they're using the same template for all these. And then they forgot to switch stuff out. So it just is -20, which definitely has to be an issue. Then its ability, Peter Tingle, of course, an iconic ability for Spider-Man. You may look at the top card of your opponent's deck at any time. Perfectly fine, I think. It could get annoying if you're like in the game and your opponent's just looking at the top card of your deck all the time, but it's fine. And useful. But then we'll see this. Spoilers. This ability is essentially repeated throughout a number of the cards here, which is not. It's just a little boring in my opinion, but we'll see how it interacts with some of the other cards. So, and of course, if it gets turned off by a stadium or something, you can't use it, which will again become very important with some of the other ones. But you may switch one of your opponents. For Web Trap, which I think makes a lot of sense. For 50 and 1 grass, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon when they're active, and the new active is now asleep and poisoned. I like this a lot. I think it's a very balanced and fair attack. As the only main attack in a Pokemon like this, it's a bit underwhelming. You don't really want to be like sparing this attack. You don't have to gust, so you can just hit for 50 for 1. This card's really cool. I like it a lot. Or this attack specifically. 240 HP also kind of makes sense, as it's like a weaker one, and we see the Virtue cost to 1 and probably more versatility with Spider-Man, so I really like that. And this art's like super sick and super cool. Spider-Man is like super jacked here, which is kind of weird, but it's still a really great card. And then it's a GX deck maximum Spider. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This one's kind of absurd. Search deck for any number of Ariados cards. So not Spider-Man and Ariados, but cards just called Ariados, and add them to your bench. If this Pokemon has, so that's fine. Of course, Ariados is an evolution to stage 1, so it allows you to cheat them out, but it's your attack, so it's fine. And I looked at the different Ariadoses we've seen over time, and they're fine. Nothing amazing, but we see some nice versatility Pokemon. I think it's cool. I'll just say it's a bit underpowered, but it's not that bad by any means, and it's cool. And then I don't know if it actually has a lot of theming, though, in my opinion, with MCU, but it's certainly a fine attack, and it's cool. And then if this Pokemon has at least 3 extra grass energy attached to it, so 5 grass, quite expensive, but you know it's payable. Each Ariados on your bench, so I guess this could include ones that you didn't accelerate. But each Ariados on your bench may use 1 attack following this one at no energy cost from your bench. So this is kind of weird. An attack that like allows other Pokemon to attack, but honestly, this is really cool. I really like this concept, and out of all the things in this video, this is probably the one I liked to see most implemented by Pokemon themselves. A Pokemon that lets other Pokemon attack, and we've actually kind of seen this with an Alakazam EX, I believe, that can attack from the bench, but it's still not the same by any means. So this is kind of fun. It's like really chaotic. Of course, this could be 4 Ariados attacking. It probably is 4 Ariados attacking, which will just like KO anything, even if they're like not that strong. If you just have one, I think there are some that just do like 80 or something. That'll definitely KO anything. So you could honestly like KO multiple of your opponent's Pokemon using this, because if you attack twice, you KO a Pokemon. You attack again 2 more times, you KO another Pokemon. It's very powerful. You could literally KO 4 Pokemon with this. It's pretty crazy, but it's super cool as well. So I'm gonna say this is like one of my favorites as well. It's not too complicated, but it has some fun ideas, and also is pretty balanced. I think this is really cool. Maximum Spider, like it's 5 energy, but it allows you to do a lot of, do a lot with it. So I really like this. And if this card, other than obviously the resistance issue, which is a minor mistake, this is a really sick card. Next, moving on to Captain America and Braviary. Again, another logical combination, very American Pokemon. I don't know if Braviary is supposed to be American, but like, Especially here, it looks like super American. Also, why does Captain America's face look kind of weird? I don't know what's going on there, but aside from that, this card looks super sick. Very, very American, and fighting type makes a lot of sense. Was Braviary fighting type? I don't even know what type Braviary is. It doesn't have a good card in like forever. But again, Eagle Vision. You may look at the top. Okay, so one thing I want to say about I guess this other card, Peter Tingle. Look at the top card of your deck. Your opponent's deck doesn't have a lot of synergy with other things, but it's fine, I suppose. I don't. It's a cool ability, certainly. We see this again on Captain American Braviary Eagle Vision, very much embodying the vibe of Braviary as opposed to Captain America, which is fine. And that's cool, right? You can look at the top card of your opponent's deck at any time. Again, we just talked about this. Now Shield Bash, 2 fighting, 70 flip a coin if heads your opponent's the defending Pokemon is now confused. This is like fine. It's kind of actually it's bad, right? It's just bad. There's not too much to say about it. It's not interesting really in any way, unfortunately. So it's kind of bad. Although its weakness to Psychic makes sense, but its resistance to Fighting, I don't know what's going on there. But so assemble GX for 1 fighting. Search your deck for any number of tag team cards and add them to your hand. This can be so this is the one that interacts with tag teams. This can of course be tag team Pokemon like Captain American Braviary or whatever. And then it can also be tag team supporters, which there are a few of them, and they're kind of cool. Also, it's kind of weird that there are Pokemon or people on Pokemon cards, so they could actually make sense as tag team supporters. But it's really cool seeing these as Pokemon too. So you search your deck for any number of those. It's a solid setup attack. Nothing amazing though. But then if it has at least 3 extra fighting energy attached to it, it does 50 damage for each tag team in your hand. You need to one thing is you need to say to reveal this, right? Otherwise, like there's no accountability. And you just say reveal them when you search them out as well. But it's a really cool idea. Of course, it can be very powerful. If you have 4 fighting energy, you can definitely one-shot anything. But it's still really cool. I think the idea is like solid. This is definitely one of my least favorites out of all these. It's a bit boring. And I don't think it's very good, but I don't hate it. But as Captain America is one of the most like notable MCU characters and just Marvel characters and superheroes in general, I think it could be a bit cooler. Now we have one of the final ones here, Doctor Strange and Alakazam GX with 240 HP, kind of making sense as they're like weaker bodied Pokemon, and then weak to dark. And it is so I don't think the Pokemon are weak to dark at this time, but it's fine. Maybe they were. I don't remember. They did some weird stuff with weakness. Oh, they were, but then they'd be resistant to fighting. So it should probably be weak to psychic, but whatever. Intuitive 2 is fine. And then we see its ability, Eye of Agamotto. I don't remember how you pronounce that, but so this is cool. This is whenever your opponent plays with the top card of the deck revealed for like the whenever this ability is active. So that's cool. Logistically, it's kind of weird, especially if they're like shuffling. I guess they turn it back over, shuffle, and turn the top one back over. That's fine. Obviously, this can be turned off by a card like there are various cards that can turn this off, like Power Play and Path to the Peak, etc. So then the card would be turned back over. Of course, you know what it is until they're shuffled again, in which case you wouldn't. So that's fine. Thematically, I really like this. Although this is obviously very similar to the other ones, so we can just look at it, and I might rather it be this way. But in a second, we'll see why it is the way it is. First of all, Psychic Bolt. It's for 2 Psychic, 100. That's not very good, but it does 60 more if the top card of your opponent's deck is an energy, and if it's a GX, it does 30 more. A Pokemon GX. So that's fine. It's not amazing, but of course you do know how much it will be doing before you do it. So that's the idea here. I like that synergy. And of course, if the ability is turned off, you don't know guaranteed. I think this attack's a bit weak, in my opinion, because you can't really control the top card of the deck. But in some senses, you can with Chip Chip Ice Axe. But at that point, you wouldn't need the ability. So I don't know. It's fine. I like the theming, though. I like the theming and the synergy. Now we see the ability, the GX attack endgame for 2 Psychic. Look at the top, look at your opponent's deck, and reorder it in any way that you like. That's absurd. right? That's just absurd. You just reordered your opponent's whole deck. So of course, if they shuffle it once, that doesn't matter, which is very common to do. But more importantly, this is gonna take like a really long time. I'm sure there are like millions or probably like billions of combinations you can order the deck in. So yeah, that's like kind of problematic. That being said, you'd obviously need to make sure you do it in like a minute. But that's still like gonna be boring for everyone to watch you reorder your whole deck in order for you to probably inevitably shuffle it in a turn or two. So of course we need to counterplay this, and it says if you have at least 3 extra psychic energy attached to it, your opponents cannot shuffle their deck for the next 2 turns. Okay, so first of all, I don't know exactly what it means by 2 turns. I assume it means your opponent's next 2 turns. It doesn't say your opponent's turns, but I assume that's what it means. That's pretty absurd. So like, this is very weird. So this means that once they look at their deck, they know the order of their whole deck. But of course, you set the order of their whole deck, so it's kind of strange here. That being said, this GX deck for 5 energy doesn't do any damage or affect their hand in any way, so most decks will be fine. But then if you like Roxanne them first or something, Roxanne wasn't in the format at the time of tag teams, but let's say you ended them. Was that in format with tag teams? I don't think it was either. Let's say you judge them. Now they have 4 cards, and now you can guarantee they dead draw unless they play like a quick ball, or it's like something that was in the format at the time of this. And now it matters which, like, say they have multiple copies of a Pokemon like Squirtle. It actually matters which Squirtle they take out of their deck because they're in different places. But you'll probably group them together anyway. It's very strange. That being said, like, they're not going to reach that far into their deck, but if they play a card like Professor's Research, they do. Also, what happens with a card like a Judge, which says shuffle your hand into your deck? I don't really know what would happen there because, like, you can't shuffle your deck, but you still need to shuffle your hand. And then who decides where it goes in the deck, or does it not go in the deck? And what defines it as shuffling? So it gets very complicated. I think this card is very clearly not a card that would ever be implemented. Obviously, there's the idea that you'll play with the top card of their deck, like revealed. It's kind of strange. Yeah, no, I don't really know. And then what if they play, like, I guess they can play Pokemon Ranger to allow them to reshuffle their deck. I don't know. It's very weird. This is definitely a crazy card. But I'll move on to, I think this is the last card here. Yeah, Thanos and Mewtwo. This combination makes a lot of sense. We see it actually weak to lightning, which is very strange. No idea why that is. But maybe it could have to do with the Thor thing, where I think Thor is weak to fighting. I don't know. Or weak to psychic. Thanos being psychic doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense, but well, actually, I don't know the whole lore, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But I think Thanos and Mewtwo together makes sense, and of course, Mewtwo is very psychic. So 300 HP, big HP makes sense. 3 HP cost kind of makes sense. As I said, the weakness doesn't make sense, but let's just talk about its attacks. This is the only one I believe that has 3 attacks. So Soul Gem for 2 psychic movement energy, move one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and all cards attached to it to the Lost Zone. Your opponent takes 1 prize. So that's kind of funky. Of course, you can't win the game with this attack. But it can be very devastating. But then your opponent takes a prize. This is a really interesting idea. Again, I really would love it if they implemented this into the game. More interaction with prize cards, especially giving your opponent prize cards. We have seen this in Pokemon that KO themselves. This is not that, though. The Thanos and Mewtwo here is really cool. I like it with this first attack. It's really interesting. It's not super good, I wouldn't say, but it could be really useful in certain times. It requires a lot of very precise play, though, which kind of makes sense with some big brain characters like this. So, and also Mewtwo's like snapping is really cool as well. And then Titan Crush. So for Psychic Colorless 100, draw a card. If it's a water energy, this attack does 100 more damage. So I know this has to do with the Infinity Stones. I don't know which one like the blue one is, but it might be the Power Stone, which kind of makes sense. This attack's kind of bad, though. Uh, it could have some use though, especially if you're able to consistently stack your deck with a water energy. It's fine with stuff like a Mallow or a Rangaroo. So this card's fine. I'm not hating on it in any way. And then we have Decimation. It's GX attack. For one psychic, discard half the energy for each from each Pokemon. I believe this includes both your Pokemon and your opponents. And this is rounded down. So if you just had the one energy on Thanos and Mewtwo, you'd discard only. You wouldn't discard any energy. It's pretty straightforward. Very powerful. But of course, it won't completely stop Pokemon, especially if they have like one energy or three energy. It's not that big of a deal. But if they have master of energy, it is a big deal. And then if this Pokemon has a water, fire, fighting, and lightning energy attached to it, in addition to this attack's cost, discard, rounded down, half of your opponent's deck, cards in hand, bench, and then take half of your remaining prizes. That's pretty crazy. This allows you to take prizes, but more importantly, like discarding their bench and cards in hand and deck. Like, is it? I guess it's random. It's very strange. It's pretty crazy. I think the idea of this is like a really cool card. Just completely destroy your opponent's board state. You can just win your game, but it's also super awkward to set up. Also, why is it only like 4 energy type? Shouldn't it be, or this 5? Shouldn't it be 6? I feel like they're missing the like a grass energy. But anyways, this is like super cool. Honestly, like these cards are all super cool. As I said, they inspired me a lot, but just in Pokemon in general. I made some custom cards, and not like inspired by these necessarily, but like they're kind of why I like custom cards. To an extent, I'm not a massive fan, but they have a place, I think. As some like fun, crazy things that can never come to be, because obviously Marvel Snap's a game. But I hope you enjoy this. I think these cards are cool. Tell me what you think of them. And also, if you know where like the official site is or wherever to find them. As I said, I found them floating around on the internet, but it's hard to identify exactly where they came from. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video. Also, if you enjoyed, I'd really love it if you liked, commented, and subscribed. It means a lot to me. And also, if you kept sticking around and kept watching my other videos. But I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video.